Well, hello, everyone. I want to welcome you here to this conversation that we're having with Jennifer Bradt. She's a licensed professional counselor supervisor, and she's the director of counseling at Planting Seeds Counseling and Coaching. They have a location in Frisco and in Prosper, and their website is plantingseedsntx.com, and I highly recommend their practice. A lot of great counselors and coaches, and especially during this time, a little counseling wouldn't hurt anybody. And so, Jennifer, thanks for hopping on here with us and being available to answer some questions.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Anything you want to say about your practice or anything before we get started? Let you make a plug for anything?
No, other than if you guys are on Facebook, we're trying to post several times throughout the week, just tips and thoughts and just ideas to give people to practice at home that we're learning personally and professionally are helpful. So that's another place that your members can go and look for tips.
Perfect. I've shared a couple of things that Planting Seeds has posted out there, but yeah, just in the search place there at Facebook, just search up Planting Seeds and counseling, and I'm sure you'll be able to find them. Well, I've asked Jennifer to hop on with us so that we could talk about families, and particularly kind of want to focus on parents because obviously we're living in this new environment, new normal for right now, and it's new, but it doesn't mean that it's always great. So there's a lot of struggle. So I'm just gonna fire away some questions at Jennifer, and she's gonna answer them. She's the expert today, and I'm glad that she's here with us. So first one is, if a parent is feeling overwhelmed at home right now, what are some of the things that you feel like they could do that would help them with some self-care, taking care of themselves in the midst of trying to care for everything else going on at the home?
I think I would start by saying, if you're not feeling overwhelmed a little bit, then you're probably not acknowledging what's really happening for you, because all of us included, have moments of overwhelm right now. This is brand new. None of us really know how to navigate or what the right answer is. And so we always want to start with just acknowledging the reality of what we're feeling and experiencing. Hopefully within the home, there is a safe other that we can talk to. If not, reach out to a friend, reach out to a pastor. Certainly counselors are available, but simply having the space to express that sense of overwhelm can start to calm our limbic system, the part of our brain that does flood with emotion. Once we have validated the emotion and that limbic system calms, then logic comes back online and we can put a plan in place. And so in the moment, change your environment, walk outside. I've done it a couple times today between sessions. Walk outside, fresh air, movement, all of those things reset our nervous system, which is what we need in that moment. If you do have safe others in the home, get a hug.
That's great. I love what you said, to acknowledge the feeling. Like, if you're not feeling overwhelmed, you're probably not really being true to yourself. And so it's important to feel what you feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What are some mistakes that you're kind of hearing in your practice, and then talking with other people, other counselors there that work with you? What are some mistakes that you're seeing or that you're hearing that maybe parents are doing during this time, and how can those mistakes be, a little bit detrimental to themselves, to what's going on at home, and maybe even if they're married, to their marriages?
As most counselors, I probably cringe a little bit at the word mistake, because we want to have grace for ourselves, especially right now. And so we're trying to encourage people to look at what's productive and what's unproductive.
Right.
What's keeping us moving in a direction towards our values, what's pulling us away from our values. And so I think there's so much pressure, especially for parents right now, trying to do this e-learning. And if you're working from home, and just taking a breath, and maybe if our kids have made all A's, maybe we shift that barometer. Maybe we revisit our expectations of how many hours we're going to spend staring at a screen and doing e-learning. So things like that. Just grace is what we're really encouraging more than anything right now. And that some days things are going to go well, and other days we're going to need to do something completely different.
Yeah.
And so I think it's reevaluating every single day as opposed to this is how we're going to do it. It has to work this way.
Awesome. I
We
like
don't,
how you reframe that mistake to, what's working, and that's key. And I can't think of a better time to extend grace than Holy Week, where we talk about the grace of the Father to us. And so that's a great reminder. But thanks for that. What would you say to a parent right now, and you've sort of addressed this some, but who's just kind of juggling the whole parenting, working from home now, all of that stuff? What would be some helpful tips that you would share with them?
I think we've all historically operated under this paradigm of finding that perfect balance between work and life. And so knowing that that is out the window right now because it's all happening in the same place. And so again, today, what are the absolute things that have to get done? If there are 2 or 3 things that for my job I absolutely have to do, how can I carve out enough time to do it well enough? Maybe not to the standard that I did before all of this happened. Same for our kids. What are the things that you absolutely have to do today? And how do we support them in doing those in a good enough manner?
Right.
This is all about, I've been talking to clients all morning about, we really are talking mental resilience at this point. And so that is going to revolve around a whole lot of reframing. When we're living in a time that there are so many things we can't control, we shift to what we call emotional coping, and it's all about reframing and acceptance. So practicing that every single day.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love what you said, how every day is sort of a new day. Because I think if we try to it's okay to make a plan, but if we try to make that plan work for the week, then we may just end up getting frustrated and frustrating our family and everyone else. But we've got to be flexible.
Right.
That's good. So any resources, there are things that you've been reading or blogs that you've come across that you would say, hey, these are really helpful things for parents, and for those watching, what I'll do is whatever she says here, I'll mention those in the comments below too, so you don't have to write all these down. But just what are some resources out there that you would share with families?
I would say limit news, but if you need facts, go to CDC, NIH. They also have some really good resources on managing anxiety right now. And so go check those out. There is a website called virusanxiety.com that has got some good tips and things to try. For people that are familiar with there's a theory called interpersonal neurobiology, which was created by Dan Siegel, Siegel, and he's getting ready to start doing a weekly crowdcast called Peeps, which I think is probably going to be really good because he focuses a lot on parenting and emotion regulation for both parents and kids. And that's what we're going to be needing more and more of is, the longer this goes on, how do we really learn to regulate our emotions so that we can show up in a way that helps our kids regulate theirs?
Definitely. Those are great. Thanks for sharing those. Speaking of regulating our emotions, what would you say are some emotional red flags or maybe some warning signs that parents should be watching out for themselves? And then, how should they respond to those? Oftentimes, I know we're not the best at catching ourselves sometimes until it's a little bit too late. But what are some things that we need to we could be looking for, some flags that might be waving to say, hey, might be time to take a time out, do something different? What would you suggest?
I think for us adults, certainly any changes in our sleep patterns, that's a sign that something's brewing, turning more towards sugar, alcohol. We're hearing a lot of that. Probably not going to be super helpful for us. And then edginess, irritability during the day, shorter fuses. Those are all things that are tied to stress and grief, both of which we're experiencing a whole lot of, even if we're not talking about it. And so again, if you're experiencing those things, who can you talk to? Because when we name things, we tame things. And so that then helps us do the same for our
I like how you mentioned that you brought up, and I was going to ask this question, but you brought up if you don't have a safe someone else. What are some suggestions for single parents who are home and who are bound, juggling work and juggling school and caring for their kids, and it's just them, because I know we have a lot of those in our church, and obviously a lot of those in our communities. What are some things, and I know this is a little bit of a curveball thrown at you, but what are some things that you might suggest for them?
So we are encouraging people to siblings, adult siblings, parents, friends. A lot of, at least our clients, had previously been connected in Bible studies, MOPS, those sorts of things. So schedule some Zoom calls. I don't know what we did before Zoom, but
That's right.
different than a lot of people that I'm talking to, they're texting, but that doesn't regulate our nervous systems as well as voice to voice and our eyes being able to see one another. And so even after your kids go to bed, I know you're tired, but 10 or 15 minutes of real human connection is going to help regulate your nervous system.
Great word about the being able to see someone, not just read, but see them and talk with them, hear their voice, and that's important. So for our married couples, why do you think it's important for them to kind of maintain good communication? I posted a couple of videos for our church just about healthy communication, how to deal with things, talking about difficult conversations. But why do you think that's so important for marriages, especially? It's always important, but especially right now.
I think we're really learning, how do each of us do independently in a time of significant stress. And that if we see our partners responding to us with grace and emotional safety, we're creating a new, very solid foundation for any future stressors that might come at us from life. And so if I see my partner kind of becoming dismantled, it's going to create some uncertainty. If I see my partner owning their hard emotions and working through them and sharing them, it's creating safety.
That's good. What are some things, we're always trying to share these things for our husbands and wives, is what are some things that they can do to take care of their marriage in the middle of all this? Because like you said, a lot of people are, both husband and wife are at home now, and there is no space. Everyone's just doing life all together. And so what are some things that you encourage couples to do to kind of take care of their marriage?
I think knowing how you reset. So, for me, I'm an introvert. It's the alone time. And so my husband has been very graceful and, hey, do you need to go have some time alone, take a bath or whatever it is. So knowing how each of you needs to recharge and working to create that space. The other thing that we can do that will make a huge difference is be generous in our assumptions with one another. We are stressed and things are more tense. And so if there is a tone or, a word choice that maybe stings a little bit, don't attack back. But, be generous in your assumption, check in, hey, that's not like you. Are you okay? Instead of, I can't believe you said that to me.
Good. That's good. I think about John Gottman's, when he talks about marriages and just, don't assume the worst, and it makes you try to assume the best in one another, because if that overarching sentiment becomes negativity in the marriage, that's hard to break through.
Very hard.
Because then you just hear everything through that negative lens. Well, Jennifer, anything else that you would want to say on this topic? But before I let you go, I know you got a busy schedule, and I appreciate you coming on here. But any last words or tips that you'd like to throw out there to us?
I think more than anything, just stay in today. And what do you need to do to take care of you and your family today, and start again tomorrow? Thankfully, every day is a clean slate filled with grace for all of us.
That's so true. Well, I appreciate Jennifer coming on here with us today, and I encourage you to go check out their website and follow their Facebook page there at Planting Seeds. A lot of great information. Jennifer, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.